Hello world! Russian state-backed hackers are behind a new website promoting a fake DDoSing app. The apparently pro-Ukrainian site encourages people to download an Android app which it claims DDoSes Russian government websites, when in reality the app does no such thing and is in fact malware. This is according to Google's threat analysis group. So the hackers here are taking advantage of a recent trend, voluntary botnet software. Ever since the invasion of Ukraine, a bunch of these tools have been popping up, encouraging people with no technical knowledge to donate their internet bandwidth to help DDoS Russian websites. I've talked about this kind of software before, and whilst many of these tools are legit, as in they do actually DDoS Russian websites, regardless, it's just not a good idea to join in, for a few reasons, one being that DDoSing is illegal no matter who you're targeting. Also, DDoSing probably goes against your ISP's terms of service, so it could get you disconnected. But now we have another reason. You could be giving a Russian threat group backdoor access into your device. As far as malicious websites go, this one is really quite believable, aside from the odd grammatical error and strange choice of stock image, like in the About section they've got a hooded guy hacking coronavirus? But anyway, the site claims it's being run by the Ukrainian military's Azov regiment, and it even has a section where you can donate Bitcoin. No one has fallen for this though, as the wallet is thankfully empty. So the app itself hasn't been published to the Play Store, instead you have to install it manually via an APK. Now, I wasn't very keen on downloading the app myself, though the website says once installed, the app is very easy to use. Just press the start button and the DDoSing will commence. Google's analysis shows that the app does come bundled with a list of apparent targets. Russian government websites and those of Russian businesses make the list, but this is clearly a decoy, as after starting an attack, the DOS consists of only a single GET request to the target website, obviously not enough to be effective. So what does the app do behind the scenes? Nothing destructive, apparently. It's thought this operation is merely a fact-finding mission to learn about the geographical distribution of people who would want to carry out such attacks. The group behind this fake app is thought to be Turla. Associated with Russia's Federal Security Service, this group is actually really quite old, having apparently been active since 1997. If you wanted some kind of technical explanation as to just how Google was able to link this operation to them, well, there isn't one. Google says because they have tracked the group for such a long time and have good visibility into their infrastructure, they were able to link them to the app. I imagine Google is opting to be quite secretive here, because publicly explaining the attribution method would only help Turla avoid attribution in the future. Next up, a new ransomware operation, Redeemer, is taking a different approach to cybercrime. Typically, to become a ransomware affiliate, or in other words, someone who spreads ransomware on behalf of a ransomware gang, an aspiring cybercriminal would have to go through a kind of application process, just like you would if you were applying for a job. However, the Redeemer ransomware is doing things differently. The malware's author, who goes by Cerebrate, has completely removed this bureaucracy and has instead made their ransomware free to download, so anyone can become an affiliate. Cerebrate made the announcement on Dread being a website similar to Reddit, but on the dark web, so the topics of conversation are a little more spicy. And just like the more organised operations, Redeemer affiliates receive an 80% cut of any ransom paid. And getting involved is unfortunately quite simple. All the wannabe cybercriminal needs to do is download the toolkit, input basic things like somewhere for the victim to contact them, and a ransomware demand in Monero, click build, you get your exe, and then you can do some ransoming. However, I don't think we should be too worried that this new ransomware will cause a tidal wave of script kiddies holding files hostage, because if that was going to happen, it probably would have already happened. This is in fact Redeemer 2.0. Version 1.0 was released last year, but it was eventually open sourced because the developer apparently lost interest, which basically means they just weren't making enough money to even justify the time spent maintaining the project. I tried looking for information on Redeemer 1.0, but after googling for what felt like forever, I could barely find anything on it. So it looks like this was yet another strain of malware that died a silent death, which shouldn't be too surprising because, sure, any noob can send a phishing email, the bar on convincing phishing emails is quite low, but after gaining an initial infection, enumerating a target's network and moving within it does take some level of knowledge, something script kiddies thankfully can't muster. Nevertheless, armed with this ransomware, noobs could have an effect on small businesses, as they tend to be unprepared for ransomware, as in having a bunch of important documents on one single machine, without backups. Also, this kind of ransomware may find a use in people with a grudge against their employers. In the past, we've seen cybercriminal gangs try to recruit employees to deploy ransomware, promising to give them a cut of any ransom paid. But why take the risk of trusting that some random you met on the internet will give you your cut, when you can just launch the ransomware attack yourself and keep 100% of the takings? Next up, Neopets has been hacked, and the personal data of 69 million users is up for sale for 4 bitcoins. Now, I was debating whether or not I should explain what Neopets is, as whilst it was quite big when I was younger, it died off pretty quick when online MMORPGs that didn't look like static websites came along, with my 10-year-old self switching to Club Penguin. But anyway, the data dump was posted for sale on breach forums, which is quickly becoming the default place to host sales of breached data. The data dump includes a whole array of personal data, such as real names, addresses, dates of birth, password hashes, and so on. And to sweeten the deal, the seller has included 460 megabytes of stolen Neopets source code. Neopets have of course advised users to change their passwords. However, it became apparent that the intruder may have retained access to Neopets' database, as they were able to retrieve details on a new account registered by breach forum's owner. And there's no update on whether Neopets has regained control of their systems, as after the initial announcement of the breach on Twitter, Neopets buried the post with pictures from Comic-Con. Neopets is not new to data breaches. In 2016, they publicly acknowledged that they had been compromised, which led to the leak of their users' data. And still, after this latest leak, they claim on their website that, and this actually cracked me up quite a bit the first time I read it, contrary to what many people claim, no one has ever hacked into our site and accessed user information, accounts, or usernames. People like to say they have been hacked, as it makes them feel a little better than admitting they have fallen for a scam, or just simply given away their password to the first person that asked them for it. This video was made possible by PlexTrac, the cybersecurity reporting and workflow management platform that empowers continuous assessment and effective collaboration between teams to ensure you win the right security battles. Create assessment reports in half the time and collaborate throughout the remediation lifecycle. Centralize your remediation efforts across all scans, assessments, and audits with powerful risk visualizations, scanner and ticketing integrations, and enhanced analytics. Communicate risks clearly across your team and in real time, working more efficiently and effectively with PlexTrac. You can claim your free month of the PlexTrac platform exclusively for Satanic viewers using the link in the video description. As always, thank you for watching. You can of course find all my sources in the description. Stay tuned for more hacking videos, and have a good one.